Yo, yo, yo! It's your girl Rose Gold, and you are tuned in for another episode of Heartbreak Hill Podcast. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with me, and I'm eternally and forever grateful. Listen, there has been so much going on behind the scenes of Heartbreak Hill Podcast. There's so much paperwork, so many different contracts, and we have now been approved to go ahead and start submitting content again. So if there's been a drought on my side, that's exactly why. Now listen, I'm not even gonna flex front or pretend. Up until today's episode, I've always felt like I've come to you guys about things that I'll excel in or things that I'm good at. The topic that I'm gonna talk about today, I am a newbie and I'm just now learning about this topic. Now y'all already know how I do. Anytime I learn some game, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna share it with y'all on the show. That's really the whole point of this show. But this thing in particular has been a tricky slope for me. And I am honored to be able to go ahead and share this with you guys. All right. So today we getting into the topic of forgiveness. Everywhere you go, from the time you a small child all the way up until you probably die, you're gonna be hearing about how important forgiveness is. Now, with all that importance that's wrapped around forgiveness, nobody ever told me how to do it. Nobody told me ever how to forgive. Nobody ever told me why it's important to forgive. What is forgiveness exactly? Those are all the things that we're going to go ahead and dive into right now. Now, I'm sure that there's a politically correct definition of what forgiveness is. I'm sure there is. I don't have it. I have right here what forgiveness is for me. And when I look at forgiveness, to me, it's something that when somebody does something wrong, you are pardoning what they've done while still hanging on to the lesson. So, a more official way of my definition of forgiveness is releasing the need for revenge and then understanding the need of why what you went through needs to happen. Now, that last part, understanding the need of why it needs to happen, it does not mean that when bad things happen to you that you deserve it. Okay? That's not what I'm saying. There's bad things that happen to good people all the time. Sometimes the people that need bad things to happen to them, it don't even happen to them. You know what I'm saying? There's only one person that's in control of your fate and the things that happen to you, and that's God. So I'm not saying this to say that when things bad happen that you deserve it, but forgiveness is always your responsibility. Even if the thing that happened to you was not your fault, even if what was done against you hurt you so bad and you don't understand why it was done, it's always gonna be on you to forgive. And why is that? Why is it that no matter how bad a person hurt you or betray you or backstab you, you still have to forgive them? Why is that important? The reason why that's important is because once you decide, you make a decision that you are going to forgive somebody and you embark on that journey, you slowly begin to see why what happened had to happen. Now, see, if you blinded by revenge, or you blinded by anger, or you blinded by sadness because of what somebody did you ain't gonna be able to see why what happened needed to happen. You know why? Because you're gonna be too blinded by what you want done, but you're gonna be too blinded by your outcome. Forgiveness takes your blinders off. Forgiveness begins to open up your mind for you to see, okay, listen, this wasn't my fault what went down to me. This wasn't my fault that what happened. At the end of the day, though, if I want to be whole and I want to be a creature that God created me to be, I got to forgive. So how do you do it? Because church told me that in order to forgive, all I had to do was say it out my mouth. That's not true. You can say what you want to say out your mouth and still have unforgiveness in your heart. So how do you forgive, ladies and gentlemen? All right? The very first thing that you need to do is acknowledge that forgiveness is not a 1 second decision that you make. There's no such thing, and I know that, and maybe you didn't hear it like this, but I know for me personally, especially growing up, like forgiveness was something that was always talked about. Look, you just gotta forgive. Like, damn, that's it? I just gotta forgive? Like, what does that mean exactly? And I think that a lot of times what those people was trying to tell me was that forgiveness, first of all, starts with a choice. You feel what I'm saying? So you have what was done to you, okay? Then you had a period of anger and sadness or whatever the case may be. Some people never get out of that slump. Some people never let go of the bitterness from betrayal. Some people never let go of the hurt and the pain and the sorrow from heartbreak. Once they have acknowledged what was done to them, it kind of stops there. So when it comes to forgiveness, first and foremost, it's a decision. You got to literally decide in your mind that you're going to forgive what was done to you, that you are going to move on, if not forever, for sure. As each day passes by, you're going to wake up every day and you're going to make a decision to forgive. So that's first and foremost. Forgiveness is a journey, and it starts with a decision that you make consciously. Second thing on how you forgive somebody, you go and you understand that a lot of the times that when people do things to hurt you, it has nothing to do with you. And I know that sounds crazy as hell, because how is it that somebody can hurt you and it has nothing to do with you? I'm going to tell you why. A lot of times hurt people, man. People that's hurting and sad, and they have sorrow, and they have emptiness, and they have sadness inside of them. It's only natural for them to come around you and vomit that on top of you. If you ever been around somebody that's insecure, I guarantee you, when you listen to them talk, all they're gonna be talking about is other people. Well, it's the same when it comes to somebody that's hurt. All they're gonna do is hurt the people that's around them, because inside, internally, they are really and truly damaged. You understand what I'm saying? So when it comes to that point, and you have decided to first of all forgive, you have to look at it from a personal standpoint, that it is not personal. The things that people do, the things that people say to you, the way that people act, the way that people conduct themselves when it comes to y'all relationships, it has less to do with you and more to do with that person. When you realize that, when you can really hold on to that, you can begin to see and understand that the things that people do are not personal, and therefore you do not need to internalize them. Now, that does not mean that you should not hold people accountable for the things that they do, okay? Forgiveness is not a pass. Forgiveness is not a pass for people to do the things that they want to do to you and get away with it. That's why we got the episode about boundaries, okay? And then, if you are a believer, or even if you're not a believer, this information can help you. Jesus Christ told us to guard our heart, okay? That's all part of this forgiveness process. So, boom, you've decided to forgive. Secondly, you realize that what this person has done to me has less to do with me and more so to do with the internal work that they have going on within themselves. Okay, now you're on to step three. Okay, and that is, you have to get to a place where you are able to speak to somebody about what happened to you, but you are going to stop complaining about what happened to you or about what was done to you. And I'm going to tell you why that's important about forgiveness. I think it's vital that every human being, whether you're a boy or girl, man, woman, fat, short, tall, whatever you are, it's vital that you have people in your life that you can talk to, or people in your life that you can give something to when something bad happens to you. You have to have somebody in your life like that. Once you get to a point where you talk to somebody about the hurt that was caused you, after that, you have to stop complaining about it. It's very hard to forgive an individual or forgive a situation when all you do is talk about what was done to you. It's almost impossible. It's like every time you're trying to heal, you constantly complaining about the stuff. So every time your healing process has begun, you setting yourself back. Now, I'm not saying that what happened to you is small. I'm not even telling you that you got to begin this forgiveness journey right away. Understand? But what I am telling you is that if you have any desire to be top notch, if you got any desire to be a rock star in this life, forgiveness has to be something that you are comfortable with. And this step is vital. A lot of times people continuously talk about the things that was done to them, and they don't even realize that it's holding them in bondage. People have done horrible things to me in my life. And I'm not saying that from a sympathy standpoint. I'm telling you the real. I done had some real foul things happen to me, man. And as part of the forgiveness process, after I had talked about those things, every time I brought it up after that, okay, I was complaining about it. You see somebody new that you haven't seen in a long time. Man, you're not gonna believe what happened. You know what I'm saying? You got a friend that betray you. At least for me, I had a friend that betrayed me, man. Listen, every friend of hers that I knew, I told them that she was a betrayer. I kept talking about it. And it's no wonder that it took me so long to heal. And I'm not saying don't talk about what happened to you. Please hear me. I'm telling you to stop complaining about what happened to you. And you know you complaining if all you want to do is talk about what happened, but you don't want to talk about solutions. That's complaining to me. Complaining to me is where you're talking about the problem, but you're not having no type of focus on the solution. Stop doing it. Okay? So boom, I'm gonna keep you up to speed if you're just not joining in. We got step one. You gotta decide. Forgiveness is what I want to do, and it's a journey that I'm going to embark on. You understand what I'm saying? We talked about step two. Step two just being a part of the process as far as like, listen, all right, I need to release and I need to know and I need to understand why this needs to happen to me. And we're now down to the point where we're talking about you have to stop complaining about what happened to you. Okay? Stop talking about what happened to you. Next step. This is going to be the most important step of all, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't been taking notes, now is the time. Every time that you find yourself reliving the betrayal, every time you find yourself reliving the hurt, anytime you find those emotions festering inside you, you have to fall to your knees and you have to pray. Because I'm going to tell you why. Even if you're, listen, I know already, I'm not naive. There are a lot of people that listen to this show that don't believe in God. And I am not here to exclude anybody. But I am going to tell you that there are certain godly principles that have to be incorporated to these type of things or it won't work. Forgiveness is one of those things. You cannot have a sincerely good forgiveness journey without prayer. It just won't happen. And do you know why? That's because unforgiveness, okay, or bitterness is something that's deep down within an individual that a lot of times we don't even recognize. Sometimes you don't even know that you haven't forgiven a person until you see them or until you're placed in another situation where you have to be vulnerable again and then you remember what happened to you. Forgiveness is an internal thing and it is a spiritual thing that if it's not done, it could ruin you. So when you have something internal going on inside of you that's that important, that's so connected to your destiny and your soul and your mind and your body, you have to pray. Every time that you have feelings of inadequacies or feelings of fear or feelings of being vulnerable when it comes to forgiveness, you have to ask God to help you. There was a one point in time I can remember back when I was probably like, I think I was like 19. Honestly, I called my best friend with my boyfriend. Man, I was so sad. I was so heartbroken. I was so depressed. I was suicidal. And then after a while of that happening, it happened for a total of 17 days. I couldn't get off the couch. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep, right? And I started to analyze myself after those 17 days, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get better, why I couldn't get up off this couch, why I'm still heartbroken, why I'm still so sad, why I still want to kill myself. And it made perfect sense. I couldn't stop talking about it. I hadn't prayed. I hadn't tried to forgive these people for hurting me. When you extended forgiveness, what I didn't know back then, what I know now, is that that is the best form of revenge. Do y'all know that? Revenge, if you want somebody to feel how you feel per se, or you want to take revenge on somebody, forgiving them and moving on with your life is the best form of that. You can't do it without prayer. Every time that you have those thoughts of what was done to you, every time you find yourself maybe wanting to talk about what was done to you, you got to fall on your knees. I don't care where you at, if you at work. I don't care if you exercising. I don't care where you at. If you at a funeral, if you at a wedding, and you have flashbacks in your mind about what was done to you and it hurts you, pray, ask God, remove these thoughts from my mind and help me to forgive. In Jesus' name, amen. It don't have to be fancy. Prayer does not have to be this long, drawn out thing. It's literally you talking to God one on one, and He hear you as long as you put the prayer in Jesus' name. He hear what you're saying. Forgiveness is one of those things that you cannot do without prayer. Okay, simple as that. All right. Now I'm going to tell you why forgiveness is vital to your future. All right. Now it's vital to you because forgiveness helps you to see that what happened to you had to happen to you. And you won't see that until you decide that you want to forgive. And I know that that was part of my definition, but this is so vital to your future. Okay? It's so vital to your future because as you release the hurt and the bitterness, like I said, forgiveness is a journey, so this is not going to happen every night. But it's not going to happen overnight, excuse me. But as you get to you forgive and your eyes begin to open up. Okay? Now here's the good part. When your eyes open up as to why that betrayal had to happen and you begin to see that that person had to break your heart, you are now embarking on another journey, and this is what Heartbreak Heal is all about. You have now put yourself in a position to receive something. See, forgiveness is something that you give from a place where you have nothing to give. A lot of times when you are asked to forgive somebody who already in a broken or hurt place, the damage is already done. You see what I'm saying? But when you decide that you are going to forgive, you get all that power back. You get all of that strength back because now you are in control of your destiny. You're not letting what somebody has done to you control your life. You're not letting that heartbreak keep you from love. You're not letting being molested as a child make you shameful of your body. You're not letting that friend telling your business or betraying you stop you from having new, cold, or rawer friends. You're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? And only forgiveness can open your eyes because now you are on a journey. You're not sitting around and you're not waiting on nothing to happen to nobody. Now you're on a mental journey with yourself. And you have decided that you are going to release anything that is not good for you, including being bitter. A lot of time, especially us women, we feel like if we can not forgive or hold a grudge against somebody, that we are showing them. All you doing is hurting yourself. Because I'm going to tell you something about unforgiveness. It closes you off to receive, and it closes you off to hear. That betrayal was a blessing for you. That person breaking your heart and walking out on you, that was a blessing for you. Your parents doing what they did to you when you was a child, that was a blessing to you. But you can't see it that way because you are blinded by the need for revenge. You blinded by that hurt. You blinded by that sorrow. Forgiveness will put you on a path to where you are able to see why this had to happen and it will be released for you. Okay? Listen, man, I'm not going to tell y'all nothing wrong. Forgiveness is key. You have to pray. Stop talking about what happened to you. Understand that forgiveness is a choice and that it is a journey and that it's going to be the keys, literally the keys to the next level of your life. Don't let unforgiveness hold you back. All right? Now, I wanted to go ahead and come out with unforgiveness because my next episode I got for y'all is going to be on fear. And that's going to knock your socks off. Listen, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with your girl Rose Gold. Listen, the love is real, the love is pure. If you got content that you want to see on the show, if you want to be on the show, you got somebody you want me to bring on the show, do not hesitate to give us a ring. Heartbreakhillpodcast at gmail.com. Listen, while you at it, follow us on all our social media platforms. We on Facebook, we on Instagram, we on Twitter, we on it all. We are available wherever podcasts are heard. Heartbreak Hill Podcast. All right? Listen, y'all take care. Stay sucker free. It's love. Bye bye.